Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to be seated. The session will commence shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to be seated. The session will commence shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to be seated. The session will commence shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to be seated. The session will commence shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, please welcome the moderator of the session, Georgia, Nexus for Investment, Miss Sharanjeet Lail, Conference Chair Moderator, International Broadcaster.
Hello. A very warm welcome to all of you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tbilisi Silk Road Forum. How exciting to be in this beautiful city. Now, this forum, as you know, brings together high-level government and business leaders, hosting over 2,000 political leaders, diplomats, representatives of international organizations and businesses. So a very warm welcome once again to all of you here and to all of you who are watching live. My name is Sharanjeet Lail. Now, in a few moments, I'll be introducing the Prime Minister of Georgia, His Excellency Irakli Kobahidze. But first, some context. Georgia sits at the crossroads between East and West and has experienced sustained and robust economic growth since the pandemic, since 2021, growing nearly in the double digits. And looking ahead, of course, Georgia's economy is expected to continue to outperform with projected growth rates of 5% over the next 5 years, and that's according to the IMF. So, to tell us more about why Georgia is such a special place to invest, please welcome the Prime Minister of Georgia, His Excellency Irakli Kobahidze. A big round of applause, please, Prime Minister. The stage is yours.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to address this esteemed audience at this important panel discussion. The panel offers an important platform to discuss forward-looking investment policies and sustainable growth, responding to changing global landscapes and fostering investor confidence. Georgia's strategic geographic position at the crossroads of Europe and Asia has long established our nation as a natural gateway between East and West. It stands as a reliable transit route, ensuring the timely and efficient movement of goods, services, energy, and digital data. Guided by a vision of becoming a multifunctional and multi-directional hub, we are actively deepening regional and global integration to expand trade, attract investment, and strengthen capital flows. Our strategic infrastructure initiatives form the cornerstone of this vision. Major projects, including the Anaklia Deep Sea Port, East-West Highway, Black Sea Submarine Cable, Tbilisi International Airport Project, and the Baku-Tbilisi Kars Railway, enhance Georgia's capacity as a reliable hub for regional connectivity and sustainable growth. These initiatives enable the country to fully leverage its transit potential, contributing significantly to the development of this new Silk Road, the Middle Corridor recognized as one of the most effective transportation routes connecting East and West. Despite global uncertainty and regional geopolitical tensions, Georgia has remained a steadfast anchor of peace and stability. Guided by a clear vision of lasting peace and sustainable progress, the country has advanced along a steady path of development, maintaining macroeconomic stability, achieving impressive growth, and demonstrating exceptional economic resilience. These achievements are a direct reflection of the government's guiding vision and strategy that peace creates predictability, and predictability in turn lays the foundation for sustainable economic growth. From 2021 to 2024, our country recorded one of the highest economic growth rates globally, averaging 9.4% annually. Georgia remains on a strong trajectory, with growth projected at 7.2% in 2025, and medium-term growth expected to average 5.1% over the next 5 years, according to the International Monetary Fund. This performance is built upon prudent macroeconomic management and comprehensive structural reforms that ensure both stability and competitiveness. Our reform path is disciplined, predictable, and focused on measurable outcomes, fostering continuity and confidence among investors. As a result, Georgia remains an attractive investment destination, with its legal, business, and investment environment consistently receiving high marks from leading international rating institutions. Georgia stands out prominently in the World Bank's Business Ready, so-called B-Ready rankings, placing second in the operational efficiency pillar and third in the regulatory framework pillar, highlighting our commitment to streamlined business processes and strong regulatory standards. Additionally, Georgia ranks 6th for taxation, reflecting a highly favorable business and tax environment. According to the 2023 Open Budget Survey conducted by the International Budget Partnership, Georgia got 87 points out of 100 in state budget transparency and took first place in the world ranking of 125 countries. Georgia offers one of the most attractive investment environments in the region. Supported by business-friendly reforms, credible policies, and strong institutions, the country enables seamless business operations with its liberal trade regime, minimal bureaucracy, and efficient customs services. These supports have earned Georgia a top 10 ranking globally in the international trade topic of the World Bank PU Ready ranking. Through free trade agreements with the EU, China, EFTA, CIS, Turkey, and others, Georgia provides tariff-free access to markets of more than 2.3 billion consumers. Our foreign direct investment landscape is diverse and robust, encompassing key sectors such as financial services, energy, manufacturing, real estate, and trade. Reflecting its achievement, according to the Good Government Index of the Chandler's Governance Institute, Georgia is ranked 4th in terms of attracting investment among 120 countries. This diversification, coupled with Georgia's strategic location and ongoing infrastructure projects, positions the country as a regional powerhouse for investment, connectivity, and sustainable growth. Georgia's favorable investment climate has recently attracted the largest foreign direct investment in our history. Eagle Hills, a world-class developer, is committed to invest more than $6.5 billion in transformational projects that will reshape our urban landscape. This strategic investment is set to create thousands of high-paying jobs, stimulate neighborhood businesses, and further reinforce Georgia's position as the region's premier investment destination. Georgia is firmly committed to strengthening its role as a reliable partner in the global economy, building strong partnerships with both state and business sectors to foster stability, opportunity, and long-term development. We remain open to strong forward-looking collaborations to advance our shared goals of sustainable growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you again to the Prime Minister, His Excellency Irakli Kobahidze. Now, as we set the stage to speak to our investors about some of the charms that makes Georgia such a prime place to invest, I will be inviting up shortly a key investor. He's just signed a deal today worth $6 billion to set up a project in property. We will be hearing from him as soon as the stage is set. And of course, just a few words about what the Prime Minister has just said. He says, of course, that Georgia is a place for peace, and peace is a place that attracts investors because of the stability that it brings. It is also a crucial thing to have strong regulatory standards, minimal bureaucracy. Of course, at a time of trade tensions and so much protectionism around the world, it is important too to note that Georgia has signed free trade agreements with China, the EU, and Turkey, amongst others. So I believe our stage is set, and I would like to invite onto the stage our first speaker, who's going to give us a little bit of investor insights. He is none other than Muhammad Ali Alaba, the founder and managing director of Emaar Properties. Please give him a round of applause. Now, Mr. Alaba, I know you have to catch a very early flight, so thank you. We value your time with us today. Now, you, of course, are a global entrepreneur. You are the founder of Emaar, who are the developers of the Burj Khalifa. And last I checked, it is still the world's tallest building. So thank you so much. Now, we know that you have transformed skylines from Dubai to Cairo to Belgrade. So based on what the Prime Minister has said, what makes a small market like Georgia attractive, particularly for this $6 billion deal that you just signed today?
Well, the answer is really very simple, is that we also come from small markets, so we know how to do business in small markets. So, UAE is not a big market. So I think we are comfortable in these sizes, to be honest with you, but I don't think it's so much about the size. It's about the environment, right? It's about the policies of a place. It's about the track record of economic principles, economic growth, and it has to do with something really very stupid called supply and demand of real estate, from hospitality, entertainment, shopping, and residential. And the last one is that normally, I operate in about 20 countries. So I walk the streets, and how comfortable I feel. And actually, when I came to Tbilisi, I was pleasantly surprised that how this place feels good. But then after I sit down and eat some of the local food, I said, "Oh my God, this is the place." But then also the environment is very, very welcoming. Really, I mean, people are special here.
Wonderful. So good to hear. In fact, we're seeing some photos of this incredible development that you will be building here. Tell us a little bit about, of course, as you say, you were drawn to Georgia. It is a friendly place. It is a wonderful place. But how does it compare to other destinations that you might also consider investing in, particularly in this region?
Well, again, as investors, I mean, IRR and rate of return is almost the base of everything we do, right? I mean, you love me, I love you, that's fine, but the IRRs have to make sense, right? So when you look at these principles in Georgia, you look at really construction costs, inflation levels, very, very reasonable. Then you look at possibility of your sales price, growth of your tourism in the area, and you see that indicators are going in the right direction and the margin is positive. But if I were to share with you just a very simple data, because we watch the data all the time, is that if you look at the price growth of residential property in Georgia, and you see the jump, you can tell that the price is up because supply is required. Growth is faster than what's being supplied. So really, all indicators are in the right direction for us now. Our challenge is that we have to go and execute.
Yes. And executing is key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've often talked about the importance of living cities, not just buildings. It has to be a place that is alive. So what does Georgia need to do to accelerate larger mixed-scale developments, urban developments, and how do you see the hospitality, the residential sector here in particular, evolving?
Well, let's go back a little bit. If we look at my country, we're about close to 50 years old. I think Georgia, modern Georgia, is it around 50 years old? Since the beginning of the 90s, Yeah, so we're all young countries. Yeah. We need infrastructure. We need roads. We need schools. We need hotels, and so I look at it from that side. But then at the end of the day, also because the basic economic principles are okay, and growth in all the different sectors are in the right direction, and as we just mentioned that you have 9% growth and you have 7% growth, which is by the way, I think it's a great example that maybe EU should learn something from how to achieve more than 1.5% growth. I'm sure there are smart people in the EU. They can come and learn from Georgia how to achieve such incredible growth. So these principles, then at the end of the day, you will need the road, you'll need the hospital, you'll need the housing, you'll need the hotel, you'll need the opera house, you'll need the food, you need the restaurant, the retail, and that's the stuff that we come in and supply. But on top of all that, I really think that our contribution to motivate others to come and invest with us in these countries. I think it's our duty as well to say, listen, we really believe in this place. Come along with us, to all make a move. And these are young countries. I mean, Georgia is young. Yes. You can look around. You can see this country is young. And I come from that. See, I live that region. I live that young city that has grown and continued to grow. So I have a bit of relevant experience to participate in that. But then when we come to our own development, really after all these years, the thing that I really care about the most is really building beautiful lives. Everybody builds 1-bedroom apartment and 2-bedroom apartment and 3-bedroom apartment. It's all over the place. It's the same in Serbia. It's the same in Australia. It's the same in New York. It's the same in London. So boring, right? But what happened when you step out of your house? This is the stuff that me and my team were really good at. How do you feel when you hold your kids' hand and stroll in your neighborhood that we built? The park, the bicycle routes, the restaurants, the safety, the light, the trees, the flowers, and all of it, the schools, the healthcare, the sustainability issues. And this is the stuff that we spend most of our time in. Why? Because I think we owe it to humanity that we improve your life and my children's life. I think that's something so beautiful that we get the chance to do this.
That is wonderful, isn't it? It is about living cities, as you say, and it's such a lovely description, the way you put it. And of course, again, the fact that we have to remind it that Georgia is a young country, and there's so much dynamism and growth in these younger countries. So tell us a little bit about your trust going forward as a big investor who's coming in. How much does government alignment play? How much does trust play in the factors that lead to your decisions?
Well, again, without good leadership in my house or good leadership in your company, there is no house, there is no company. And it's the same thing, leadership in countries. If there is no good, strong, sensible, wise leadership, that have to sustain, because the trouble with democracy nowadays, it's 4 years. And then something else happens and priorities change. And that's a challenge for me. Because for me to build a building and development takes 10 years. I need 10 years, and I don't want anyone to come and disturb our plan. Otherwise, you've got this going on, and then as a result, it's not about profit. It's not about economic development. It's about sustaining a better environment for our people to live, to grow, to get paid better, to have better schools. And this really that worries me at my age. I lived as a poor kid, but after I made a lot of money, now I'm really quite concerned about economic development. So I would say that leadership is critical. Friendly policies is a must. And that's why people always wonder, how come the UAE that's in the middle of where trouble is? Our country is in the middle of all the trouble in the world. And I always say, without the Middle East, I think BBC, CNN, they will go bankrupt because there's no bad news. But thank God they have the Middle East. So it's the source of all the bad news, right? If it's Afghanistan over, it's Iran. Iran over, it's Yemen. Yemen over, it's Israel, Gaza, you name it, Syria, Iraq. I mean, there's so much going on. So what I'm saying is that with that, in that neighborhood, strong, wise, stable leadership, it got our country to be the number one country to attract wealthy individual to move for safety of wealth, safety of regulation, safety of healthcare, safety in education, you name it, and the environment as well. So I would say that really nowadays, we should all gang up and support smart, wise leadership for the well-being of our society, because Earth is a very small place. We need to take care of each other. We all want to grow. We don't want to grow in UAE. We want Georgia to grow. We want China to grow. We want Russia to grow. We want America to grow. We want a place like Europe to grow. Because I think at the end of the day, this is a very small place. So leadership is everything.
Yes, very wisely said. And it's so interesting the way you say, you are in the midst of all of this geopolitical strife. I mean, to a great extent, Georgia is too. It's not too far away from Ukraine. So there are issues everywhere around the globe. And at a time like this, to make $6 billion investments, it's an unusually uncertain time. So what makes you so confident that this is an investment that will pay off?
Well, because I'm 67 years old, I've been doing this business for almost 30 years. I made horrible mistakes in my life, but I made a lot of good decisions in my life that made billions for me and my shareholders. And after that, you become a wiser person. But then all indicators in Georgia, all indicators are correct indicators. Now, to do a project this size, of course it's risky. But then are you up to this risk? Do you understand matters? Are you willing to bet on a country, on people? And I think we're willing to bet on Georgia.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're almost running out of time with you, but you've given us such deep insight. Maybe tell us a little bit about this new project. You talk about building these livable cities. So what is this new project going to be like here in Georgia? We're seeing some photographs.
I know. You don't know how long it takes for us to do the details. But as I said earlier, really, it's all about, I think it's not about real estate, it's about pride. You know, we want to be proud of where we live. We want to be proud of what we build. We want to be proud of where we take our kids for a walk. You know, we need to inspire the people around us, that even the young people, that we can do more of this. But it's also about, you know, economic development. You know, I hope we pay a lot of taxes for the government as a result of this. I hope the government, I think our expectation, I think about 2.5 billion.
Not many businesses would say that.
Well, you know,
Pay more tax.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, in my country, we don't have corporate tax, and last year it was the first time. And then, in fact, I called the Minister of Finance. I said, after all these years, you only charge us 9? What? Like 9 only? Like, we made so much money. And I really think that we as businessmen, enough is enough.
Okay.
We make so much money. We should share, because if we want it all for ourselves, there'll be a revolution in the world. You see what's going on in the world, right? I think the world have to be fair. So I really think that contribution, if it's really creating jobs at a better scale, if it's paying taxes, if it's promoting tourism, if it's, you know, putting beautiful plans, if it's really encouraging other investors to come, I really think it's our duty. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you how I feel. You know what really I feel? It's like how lucky I am that they trust me to do this.
That's
if you tell me how I feel, I'll tell you, I am so lucky that they trust me to do this. Even though I've done many of these, but I think now I get a little better, because I think I can do things better than the past 30 years.
That's wonderful, and so refreshing to hear from a businessman who doesn't mind paying higher
We're
taxes.
making so much money. We should be embarrassed.
Excellent,
You know?
excellent. I think he deserves a round of applause just for that.
Thank you so much.
But my final question before we let you go to catch your flight is, can you imagine a Georgian project with the kind of scale and global resonance of Dubai?
You can, but it's different. And be honest with you, if we have all these beautiful hills and rivers that you guys have in Georgia, ooh. But of course you can, but it's different. It can never be the same. But of course you can. I mean, Georgia is already getting what? I think 8 million visitors. Like, you know, Dubai is 18. We're not very far. So, but you have to be Georgia. You can be 20 million visitors, but you have to be Georgia. You cannot be Dubai.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I think on that final ending, this is a great way to finish our conversation.
Thank you so much for everything.
Far too short, but thank you, Mr. Alabar, and
Please.
thank you for being with us. Please, a big round of applause
Thank
to
you
our wonderful optimist in Georgia and the outlook for Georgia. It's so good to meet you. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Ali Alabar. Fantastic. Hope you catch your flight. Excellent. Now, next up, we're going to have another panel session that's going to really put the spotlight on Georgia as a nexus for investment. We're going to be inviting up our speakers shortly as well, and I'll be introducing them. But we do truly want to hear what makes Georgia such an exciting place. We heard a little bit there from Mr. Alabar about some of the attractions, the stability from the government, the long-term government alignments, the trust, and of course the wonderful culture that makes it peace, which makes the stability really crucial. So I believe we have our stage almost set. I will go and grab my seat and introduce our speakers. But while we're still doing a few more adjustments, I will tell you a little bit about our speakers. We have, of course, Mariam Krivishvili, the Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development of Georgia. Please, a big round of applause. And she has, of course, been in this role since June. So lovely to meet you, Minister. And is a member of the Political Council of the Georgian Dream, Democratic Georgia. We also have Oliver Stanton, the Senior Vice President and Shareholder of Tramo Inc. He has, of course, 3 decades of experience in international commodities trading and, of course, logistics as well. Welcome, Oliver. Please have a seat. And next we have Ebu Bekir Tivnikli, the chairman and board of Exim Holdings, which is one of Turkey's leading conglomerates. Welcome, Ebu Bekir. And he was named The Economist's most powerful CEO under the age of 40, 3 years running. And finally, we have George Kuprashvili. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Galt and Target. He's got extensive financial experience in Georgia, Europe, and the US. Welcome, George. Have a seat. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to speaking to all of you. For the next hour or so, we're going to have this conversation. We're going to open the panel by hearing from the Minister of Economy about some of the things that we've heard about. Obviously, we heard the Prime Minister talk about Georgia being an incredibly stable place that attracts investment. But what other factors do you think Georgia has that actually makes it such a prime place for investment?
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would once again use this opportunity to address everyone who took their time and came to Georgia and gave us honor and privilege to host 2,300 delegates from more than 70 countries. It is extremely important for our country to be able to host forums like this, and Silk Road Forum has really shaped as an important platform for dialogue between governments, government to private sector, and business to business relations. And I think today has been extremely productive day for all of us. We did have chance of our panel discussions through keynote speakers and a lot of intensive meetings, by which we made huge progress, frankly speaking, in addressing multiple matters, multiple concerns, and at the same time addressing the ways how do we overcome it together, countries together along with the private sector. So with that, once again, I would like to thank everyone and also welcome my dear panelists, great friends and partners, and I look forward to our panel discussion. Well, very briefly about going back to your question, Prime Minister indeed had quite comprehensive speech about why Georgia. And I think, of course, when I start my speech, I need to also address beautiful dialogue you just had with our dear friend and partner, already our family member, Mr. Alabar, who represents a really big milestone of our country's success, historic 6.5 billion USD, and the scale of the investment. This has been, of course, very big achievement, I would say, for both of the parties. Of course, for the Eagle Hills Amar as well as for our country. We've been speaking a lot, and he's also been sharing a lot. And of course, one of the key fundamental decision-making factors for also Eagle Hills to choose Georgia over so many other countries are a couple of things. First, predictability. And this is something that we see that every investor, would it be domestic or international, is aiming to see. Second, it's safety and stability, which is the core fundament of any sector or any direction of the economy, or not on beyond economy, that everyone's looking for. And this is something that Georgia has immense contribution and demonstrating significant resilience, regardless the vulnerabilities within the region and all over the world. And third, of course, our determination to support investments and our determination to support all scale businesses, would it be small, medium, or large scale businesses, and providing them with all the needed instruments and tools, and most importantly, access to finance. So I think Georgia has made it through in a way that for last extremely complicated and complex years has demonstrated resilience, stability and safety, and consistency in flexibility also, and in the policy making that makes so easy to do business in Georgia. And that has been also the fundamental basis of how our economy keeps growing this fast. And we're also using this opportunity to show off how good and resilient our economy turns out. For last 2 to 3 years, our average economic growth reaches up to 9.6%. And this year, we already have up to 8% economic growth compared to identical period of last year. And this brings Georgia as a leader among the region and leader among all the European countries. And this, of course, takes a lot of effort. This takes a lot of hard work, very vivid plan, action plan, and execution. But it also takes an extremely tight partnership between government and private sector and all the integrated parties. So I would say it's a great teamwork. We're very committed in making sure that we continue being the most hospitable country in the world, not only for travelers, but at the same time for domestic as well as for international investors.
Wow, well, very well said. I think, you know, if I were an investor, I would want to jump into Georgia right away. But I guess I'm looking at the other investors here, and this is a similar opening question to all of you, which is what do you typically look for when considering a new investment, and what does the concept of a nexus of investment mean to you? Oliver, I'll start with you about why Georgia and why now?
Like they say in real estate, it's location, location, location. And Georgia's located in a strategic area between all the way to the East China and the Black Sea and Mediterranean, European, and Atlantic markets. And we're a trading company. We trade commodities, and which means we're predominantly a logistics company. So it's very refreshing to hear from the ministers, the Prime Minister, about all the building and the investment, the money being spent, the openness, the legal system, the financial system. It's a great recipe for success. And so that's why we came here, and we hope to stay forever and bring commodities across to market.
Thank you. And Abu Bakr, I guess I'm looking to you next. What brought you here?
Thank you. Honorable ministers and distinguished guests, I am very pleased to be here in this organization and in Georgia as well. First of all, I sincerely believe that this forum will create new perspective for all of us. Turkey and Georgia have a strong cultural ties. And for us, Georgia has a strategic location, renewable energy potential, and day by day, improving policy framework. These advantages make it a strong partner in building East-West energy corridor for us. And at Exim, we believe that progress can exist in long-term vision and responsible investment. We focus, as Exim, we focus three main sectors. Let me start with the major one, electricity distribution. In our region, we serve 6.5 million people, and according to the consumption, we are second largest distribution company in Turkey. And when we took over the company in 2013, the lost and theft percentages ratio was 80%, 80. And through persistent efforts, we have reduced it to 37%. And in the end of the 2024, and continue working to improve further. Secondly, in energy production, Exim currently operates 1 gigawatt installed renewable capacity, and with a total portfolio approaching 3 gigawatts in worldwide. Last but not least, we are also pioneering a sustainable path from grain to table with our Exxon and Aslı companies. Our project, and Exim is not new in Georgia. It's not new to Georgia. Through Agile Energy, which is one of our subsidiary companies, we have been investing here for more than 15 years. And starting with the hydro plant, now we are investing, continuing with the solar and wind plants. And these investments prove our trust to Georgia.
Thank you. So good to hear about all those new renewable projects that are crucial to make Georgia a place that wants to be incredibly sustainable as well, as you just mentioned, Minister. And now moving finally to George. Obviously, you've worked in multiple markets across Georgia, Europe, the US, and elsewhere. Why here?
Thank you for the question, Saranjit, and pleasure to be participating in this panel. So the simple answer is really because Georgia offers, I believe, a rare combination of several factors rarely found in emerging markets. And it's fast and resilient growth, most importantly, comparably lower risk, and great regional access. And to be more particular or look into it a little bit deeper, I think we can look at three main factors there. So one is generally investor and capital friendly system and economy, right? Which probably echoes what has been said many times during the day today. Start from tax. We virtually have no capital gains tax, and our corporate taxation system is arranged so we call it an Estonian model, which incentivizes reinvestment, and as long as you stay invested, you virtually have a zero corporate income tax as well. So we only get taxed at the dividend event. So very favorable, tax system. And worth mentioning also is a foreign investor protections. Georgia is part of vast majority or almost all international treaties which provide protection for international investors, and generally local corporate law as well is very minority, on a local basis as well, very minority protective. So that's very comfortable for the investors to take into account. And on the other side, if you look at the macro level, right, and this has been said many times, obviously, before. So last 5 years, we've had 9.2% of compound annual growth, right? And this means that our economy has grown 55% over these last 5 years in total on a real GDP basis. So and one of the questions behind the resilience or what makes this sustainable is if you look at a level deeper and if you look at the composition, a sectoral composition of our GDP, you wouldn't find any individual sector that contributes more than 15% to the overall GDP. So that makes it well protected and hedged, if you will, for any sectoral shocks that happen every once in a while. Could be regional level or local in some cases. So this diversification, which is natural in Georgia's economy, is very helps with sustainability and resilience of this growth. And another thing that to be mentioned, I think, is the prudent and disciplined monetary and fiscal policy. So you have very healthy inflation in the country, stable currency, and backed by very adequate and growing reserves, and fiscal deficit of around 2.5%, and very low government debt to GDP ratio, which is around 36% right now, which leaves a lot of room for extra capacity in case there is an event of some shock, or there's a need to invest in infrastructural or growth projects, right? So we could virtually almost double our current debt without causing a concern from the credit rating perspective as a country. So I hope this answers the question.
It's a long list, isn't it? Because it's, as you mentioned, it's the regulatory environment, the legal environment, the taxation as well, that is obviously very attractive to investors who are looking at Georgia. Now, Minister, I'm going to come back to you because since taking over the portfolio for the economy, you have emphasized the need for Georgia to move from a low-cost manufacturing destination to a value-added investment hub. So where do you see Georgia's economic model going in the next 5 years? And it's great that you're attracting investment, but what kind of investors would you ideally like to attract?
I think it's worth mentioning that the core ideology that in general, in a bigger picture, we have for economy's development is diversification. And diversification for the sake of stability of economy, sustainable development, but at the same time making sure that our local businesses, would it be internationally sponsored or domestically sponsored, also grow with us in more sustainable and stable way. And this is something that our government is extremely committed. If you see the source markets, if you see export markets, if you see how much effort every year it's put in free trade agreements that has been highlighted, how much efforts are put for, I don't know, no visa requirements, how much traffic is growing when it comes to other sectors. We named tourism for an example, which is a very big source for our economy to grow, up to 8 to 8.5% of our GDP, and how diversified these sectors every year are becoming, which is exactly in line with the action plan that our government is implementing on yearly basis and quarterly basis, I would even say. So, of course, I mean, within the old fields of economy, and especially when we speak about investments, what we are always looking for is the value that projects and investments bring for our country. Value that is reflected in creating new jobs, which has direct positive impact on all of those who live in the region, in the capital, and who on those people. That is reflected as a positive matter of fact, you know, for recruitment and economic well-being, which is extremely important for us and for our country. So creating more jobs. Second, the value of upgrading the knowledge, because every investor brings new know-how, new education, new skills, which helps our country's economy to grow because it helps youth to also grow with it. And the third, I think I would more say the contribution into our economy in a bigger picture. So Mr. Alabar, before we would, let's say, take over on this panel, he also mentioned how important it is to be fair. And in order to be fair between the budget's contribution, at the same time, the right balance between making every project economically feasible, I think that's the thin line. So I would more say that the complexity of the investments, I would not look into low scale or big scale or high end or low end. It's about the value it creates for the country in a bigger picture, which means its contribution to economy, even if it's a small contribution, it creates big impact because there are families who are employed. There is a direct contribution on the regional and the sectoral development. And it's so pleasant to see that there are so many sectors evolving in the country. I could name so many traditional ones. We spoke about energy sector. And energy sector I would highlight as the key priority of our government. And there is so much things that we are doing and will continue doing to make sure that we support energy sector's development for multiple reasons. Of course, first and most importantly, it is our own generation to make sure that our country becomes independent and has its own energy independence and energy security. That's the first positive impact. Second, it creates new jobs. Third, its contribution into our budget. And fourth, additional value it creates when we speak about, for instance, exporting our own electricity to Turkey and then beyond Turkey to the rest of the Europe. So in any field we take as an example brings so many values. Yeah. So I would more say that being a country of great hospitality, we welcome any type of investor, domestic, international, who's willing to contribute, who's willing to bring value, who's willing to create a significant number of jobs.
Wonderful.
And we're here to support every right initiative.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. So it's really not about the size of the investments, but really the quality of the investment that you're looking at. And in terms of investments as well, diversifying is crucial to move away from over-reliance on one thing is absolutely something that most economies around the world are looking at. Now, Oliver, I'm going to move back to you because we know Tramo has been present in global commodities for decades. And you mentioned, obviously, that Georgia sits at the crossroads between East and West, so logistics here is key. But how do you see infrastructure development, whether it's ports, rail, energy, aligning up with your long-term investments here?
Thank you. Sorry. For investing, the rail system has been very important. And when we started, it was a little challenging. And so hearing how much the government is looking to invest, we're most interested in the rail, but of course the roads and the other ports are just as important. We're in Batumi, we have a warehouse there, so we're bringing product from Central Asian states across Caspian Sea. Also, they're going to be building more barges. That was very good to hear. And talking about new ports, we're open to that as well. We thrive on logistics, and the government seems to be very invested in that. They're young, energetic, and they have a can-do attitude, and so that's very refreshing. And we think there's other things to do here in the future.
Okay, we'll hear more about that a little bit later. I'm going to move now to Abu Bakr. You talked about the energy and the renewables. It's so crucial to obviously your own country, Turkey, but also Georgia. But talk us through Exim's expansion into Georgia as part of a broader east-west corridor strategy, particularly in trying to scale the renewables. What drew you to the market from this strategic standpoint? What drew you to Georgia?
Georgia plays a strategic role in our growth vision. And now this 75% of Georgian installed capacity cover from renewables. So, and the country has abundant wind and hydro potential, which supported by transparent, predictable, and stable regulatory environment. And in the wind sector, several regions demonstrate high capacity factors, offering attractive prospects for future developments. Of course, Georgian mountainous topography requires well-prepared and site-specific feasibilities, as even small miscalculations can affect design, cost, and performance. And we already faced this situation before. So in real life, it is not every time is not goes everything as planned. So sometimes reasons beyond our control can really change the feasibility results as we expected. In our 20 years of experience in the energy sector, combined with Georgia's openness to scale, give us a strong confidence in continued investment. And through Acar Energy, the confidence into the practice, we have put that confidence into the practice with large-scale renewables. We have invested $250 million already, and with 2 hydro plants, Kelvachuri and Kırneti. And total capacity is 100 megawatt now. In near future, we are planning and these plants annually generate 400 gigawatt hour approximately, which supplying clean power to 250,000 households. And looking ahead, we are developing 500 to 600 megawatts, a new wind and solar projects. When we complete that, the total value of investment will be approximately $1 billion. And these will supply electricity to over 1 million households.
That's a lot of money, $1 billion.
Yes.
But it's interesting, as you say, there's a lot of untapped potential in terms of solar, wind, hydro, and that's why you're coming in there with those investments, because there is the opportunity there as well. Fantastic. Now I'm going to move over to you, George. You mentioned, of course, the incredible environment in Georgia in terms of the regulatory framework that makes it very appealing for investors. But tell us, what are the kind of investors that you see at the moment? I mean, is it mostly institutional investors? Are we seeing more appetite from them, or is it still largely private equity and family capital that's leading the way? And do we need more diversity for that as well?
Yes, I think among several structural gaps that I think Georgia needs to close in order to fuel and sustain the growth, as you know, to your question, is I would not say the word absence, but lack of institutional investor base in the country. And we, as a leading investment bank, that's our very focus to get and raise awareness and get the interest towards institutional money, international institutional money to come in. Now, with that said, we do see some beginnings of that and see some signs of start. And the debt capital markets is usually starting off for the countries like ourselves, which is the most voluminous right now, and we do see significant interest on local bonds as well as euro bonds from international investors, and that's a good sign that starting from there it can grow into something more structured. So I think that part for VC, I think it's the same situation that we see there. There has been some, and there is some incentives which creates incentives for investors in VC, but there are some structural limitations to the country. For example, some startups are just only, targeting at least regional markets to scale. That's some limitation of our local market, right? So, and that makes the VC case a little bit less palatable if you're targeting the local market. But I think the local startup ecosystem is adjusting to that. So they're being pushed to think a little bit more in regional terms rather than be focused on the local market. I think.
Yeah, great, good to hear. But obviously the need is we need to focus and double down on the institutional investment that needs to come in, and you need to see a little bit more of that, but it may take time for that to happen. Now, let's look at all the global challenges that we've been facing, and of course, it was along the lines of what Mr. Alaba spoke about earlier, these massive geopolitical concerns around the world that we are living with on a daily basis. And I'm turning to you, Minister, because in the face of this all, how is Georgia looking to protect investor confidence, trying to maintain its economic stability, given all the volatility that is out there, particularly with the state of the global trade system at the moment? Georgia is all about its very crucial trade routes. So how do you protect all of those things and reassure investors?
Wise leadership, consistency, stability and security, predictability and transparency. I think this is exactly what our country has been demonstrating for years. And this is something that so many investors, international as well as domestic, have been fairly observing how Georgia would handle vulnerabilities around the country. And with the precise observations, and for already more than a couple of years, Georgia demonstrated significant resilience, and hence Georgia's economy demonstrated significant resilience and stable economic growth. And with this, we have not stopped even a single day also being an investors within our country. So government is the biggest investor. We are investing in the crucial and most important projects. And Oliver here highlighted that for him, for instance, as an investor, the biggest question comes in, what is government planning to do with Georgian Railway? And that's exactly the type of an approach, how we also look into developments of the crucial and key infrastructure for the country. Later, until we joined this panel, we had extremely interesting panel discussion over the middle corridor, where I was speaking with my colleagues from Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan and Turkey. And it was beautiful how we all elaborated, how we join forces to make sure that our not only one country grows, but we grow together. So what we do, we invest in infrastructure. Georgian Railway, our top priority. So within upcoming years, starting from next year, we will be investing heavily to make sure that the capacity of the cargo shipments grows. We already modernized Georgian Railway and doubled its capacity for cargo shipments, but so much more is coming up. We are building an Aklia deep sea port, which will be of a significant importance for our country's economic development and will bring huge value to the middle corridor as a route. And of course, we'll make sure that we strengthen Georgia's positioning as transit logistic hub and the country which connects east to west. Third, we are also investing and co-investing in one of the biggest projects in the history of our country, which is the new Greenfield International Airport, with the capacity of 20 million, which is 4 times more of what we currently have in the capital, because economy is growing, because tourism is growing, because logistics are growing, because cargo movements are growing. So any economic feasibility and viability showed that we need to do this. So we committed as government, we'll do it, and we continue our commitment on daily basis to also invest in road infrastructure. Would it be highways and would it be roads connecting regions with one another? So these are the factors when we believe in our bright future. Every day, every month, and every quarter, we deliver the figures, economic figures that reflect and demonstrate the successful growth of our economy. And this is something that not only we see, this is something that investors see, and this is something that public feels on themselves because they get more jobs and they get more income. And this is something that we believe that is nicely and fairly created with a really good collaboration between government, private sector, investors, and all the engaged and interested parties.
Thank you. So obviously, Oliver, that's a real reassurance to you that the railway is being looked after and that's going to grow, but not just railway, ports, air links, as well as road links are all crucial here in Georgia as this incredible corridor between east and west, of course. But I'm looking to you again now because we know that Tramo's work in sulfur and fertilizer as well places you at the heart of the global food and energy supply chain. So how do you see Georgia essentially fitting into this equation, not just as a location, but as a strategic partner in sustainability and resilience?
Well, all the factors that lead to the stability has been mentioned, and that's vital. The growth, we'd love Heraclea to be built. Therefore, we can bring more product across, have more access, because with the world as it is, the more routes you have, the better it is, the more efficient. And because you get restricted from certain routes because of wars. And that's where Georgia initially became very important, at least for us, and continues to be because the production is going from about 5 million to 7 million tons, the CIS states, and this will feed the domestic market, but also they have excess, so it has to go to the international market, and that's our job to bring it there, and in the most efficient way that we can, in the cheapest way, and that's what we plan to do.
Okay, good to hear. Abu Bakr, we're moving to you now because we've heard a lot about Georgia's regulatory openness, which is obviously very clear, but from an energy investor's point of view, what practical reforms or de-risking mechanisms would make large-scale investments for wind, for hydro, even more attractive to you?
Yes, this is a well appetizing question as an investor. Georgia has made remarkable progress in advancing renewable energy, and current momentum is highly promising. The investors typically look at several key funders, like macroeconomic stability, infrastructure development, human capital, and integration with international financial systems. The first priority to ensure long-term bankable agreements such as PPA or and CFDs. These instruments provide price stability and revenue predictability, both essential for project financing. And recent implementation of the CFD regulation in Georgia was a major milestone and a positive signal for investors. Expanding this framework further boosts confidence and attract new capital inflows. Incentives such as VAT and custom exemptions, government-backed guarantees, and support from key institutions also play a critical role in de-risking. A single window permitting system would further simplify procedures, shorten timelines, and makes project execution more efficiently. Finally, grid reliability and connectivity are key. Large-scale renewables require a grid that can efficiently absorb intermittent generation. Expanding transmission capacity, particularly the existing 700 megawatt interconnections line between Turkey and Georgia, would enhance both energy security and cross-border trade opportunities.
Okay, it's good to have a list of things that you'd like to see, but it's being done. That's good. Now we're moving.
Many of them is
Yes.
already done in Georgia.
Yes.
So we are doing investments as a with a confidently.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, moving back to you, George. You know, we talk about obviously the financial sector, but we know fintech is on the rise. Digital transformation. Obviously, AI comes next. But what barriers do you see to scaling these crucial sectors, particularly fintech? What kind of regulatory innovations are really needed to support these new next generation financial technologies and support, you know, capital inflows and local venture growth?
Yeah, Georgia's financial services and fintech or technology sectors have gained and are still gaining significant momentum as we speak. But I think to truly scale, along with the investor base question, which is very relevant here from the VC world standpoint that I touched on briefly, there are some other structural gaps as well. For example, we could talk about the depth of the talent pool, and if you look at Georgia's recent history, right? Technology as a profession is very young in our market, right? It's been really like last 7 years when it really started picking up. So it's a very young profession, although it is having some significant following among the new generation, and a lot of people want to go into tech. It's still the depth of the experience and depth of these markets are shallow, and I think the demand on that side from digitalization, from scaling this and startup ecosystem that is being developed much exceeds the existing talent pool. So I think and there are some incentives in place, right? Georgia is very open and has some incentives for digital nomads to move and work here and establish their home in Georgia, Tbilisi, or any other country, and that should that obviously adds to the future pool of this talent, which is very much needed. However, some things simply require more time, and I think this might be, we have yet to see the impact of it as we go. I think that's one challenge that is observed and that we hear very often from technology and our own needs as well. If you go out to the market, it's pretty tight.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point you bring up. That obviously finding that ready workforce, the talent that is out there that has the ability to digitally transform the next generation of businesses that might be developing is a real crucial thing. We've still got about half an hour in the session, so I really want to get into this. Minister, perhaps you could respond to, does Georgia have the right kind of workforce and talent, and what's being done to ensure that you will have this very good workforce available for investors who might want to come in? How do you reassure them that you've got the right people?
I think that's a very relevant question, and this is something that we've been very actively discussing with private sector representatives, that indeed, as economy is growing and there are more sectors evolving and particular industries are growing faster, we do see a challenge of relevant manpower with relevant skills. However, of course, this is something that we address, and this needs to be addressed jointly. Of course, education comes first, and professional education is extremely crucial. And with the reform of the educational system, I think that this will very much reflect the needs of the market. The third is to work extremely closely with private sector and to have very vivid, very big clarity on the shortfalls and the gaps between the demand and the supply when it comes to manpower. So, and I think private sector is also doing a great job in making sure that they educate and they grow beginners or people from different backgrounds and engaging them in new fields. So, so we see that economy is growing, sectors are growing, we see more investments coming. We're glad to see that more jobs are created. And of course, we want to make sure that any policy we create for the sake of having a beautiful synergy and great match between employer and the employees. And we would love to see the synergy and chemistry happen in our country in all sectors. And our government is very much committed, of course, from our ministry, Ministry of Economy, along with the Ministry of Education, to make sure that we properly identify the needs, the sectors, and what do we do to address these matters ASAP, and at the same time look this into a bit of a long-term perspective to start preparing and to start supporting our local manpower to be ready for tomorrow's needs, to make sure that when demand is created, the supply is there.
Yeah, that's a great response. And I guess, as you say, you're working with the private sector. So let's bring in the private sector here that we haven't heard from. Abu Bakr or Oliver, would you want to comment on how, perhaps not so much how challenging it is, but are you able to find the right kind of talent, the right kind of people here to be able to support the kind of ambitions that you have for your company's expansions? Well, Oliver, I'll look to you next.
Yes, for sure. We have our partner in Batumi, WonderNet Express, has been wonderful, and they seem to know all the ins and outs. And not only are they a partner, but we get the feeling that the government is a partner as well. They're very young and energetic, as I said, and you really feel it. And it helps to make these projects come to life. And they're not easy, but yes, that's very, very encouraged here.
Great. And Abu Bakr, I guess your point of view?
Yes, like the human capital of the Georgia is getting improving day by day also, and it's also our neighborhood countries, so it is very easy to increase the collaboration. So we are very appreciated to human capital of the Georgia.
Okay, good to hear. Now, we've still got about 10 to 15 minutes for the session. I do want to wrap up with one quick response from each of you, but I guess we'll talk a little bit more about, obviously lots and lots of opportunity here in Georgia, but there are some challenges getting there because there's so many different aspects of Georgia's economy that are so attractive to investors, but yet it is a new economy, it's a new country that is still scaling up in terms of development. So I guess my next question would be, how do you see Georgia in the next 5 years in terms of will it become the kind of global hub that you aspire to be? Do you think you can be a global hub for finance, for energy, for transport? Will Georgia be able to become this crucial hub in this part of the world? I guess, Minister, maybe to turn to you.
Well, of course. In 5 years, Georgia will be prosperous, richer, with energy independence and energy security. We'll have more things done. We'll have positioned itself even stronger when it comes to being a hub, logistics and transport hub, because all the projects that we had an opportunity to discuss today, majority of them will be fulfilled within upcoming 5 years. So I will once again repeat myself that we have very vivid strategy and action plan, and we exactly know what we are doing within 5 years, within 10 years, and at the same time on yearly basis. And accordingly, we set our action plan, and that's how we distribute our roles also within the government. So every ministry has its particular role, and we, of course, work extremely close with one another along with private sector. So the future is very bright. The future is very promising. We guarantee stability, safety, and we guarantee that this country will continue to have stable, sustainable, and diversification in terms of economy. We guarantee transparency, we guarantee fairness, and we guarantee that we will take care of everyone who lives and works in Georgia and everyone who believes in investing in Georgia. Yeah. So I'm very sure that within 5 years we meet each other. We will have a lot of tangible outcomes, I hope, with all of these people contributing to our mutual success story, that we'll sit down together and we'll have so many things to be proud of. And we'll say that, yes, our economy grew more, our economy continued to grow by 2-digit. And with this spirit, of course, we have everything in our hands today to be this optimistic.
Wonderful. So the Tbilisi Silk Road Forum of 2030, you will have achieved your ambitions. That's really interesting. But I want to open it to the rest of you. George, would you say you could see Georgia becoming a financial hub, in terms of the likes of, Singapore, where I'm from, Tokyo, and all these other big hubs around the world?
Well, certainly there is the opportunity for particular aspects of finance, and that we see in the early stages. So it definitely has the potential, at least at the regional in the regional reality, and it all depends on all of the business, like private sector, government, just ordinary people just striving to that goal. But definitely there are a lot of opportunities for Georgia. And if you look at the current state of the banking industry, for example, you could see that it already is in a leading position, regionally, in terms of its digital, strength, in terms of the services offered, and its technology. So Bank of Georgia was just recently named the best digital bank globally by Global Finance, which is very influential, publication in this field. And and to the Singapore's point, right? The prior owner of this title, or of that, was DBS in Singapore. So,
of course, yes.
It really comes to peers with this large names, and we do see a lot of potential there for sure.
That's great. Congratulations, Bank of Georgia. That's good to hear. So now let's start to wrap, which is really just a look at, I would like to get one quick response from each of you on the one message, there can only be one message, that you want global investors to take away with them today. Anyone who's potentially an investor in the audience or watching live, what is the one message you want to give them? So why don't we start this way around? I'll start with you, Oliver.
I think the message would be that Georgia is here to grow and to build, And they've proved it in so many different ways with the infrastructure and building an airport, billions of dollars. It's not going to be ready for 5 years at least. That shows the perception of the future and their investment in that. And also the UAE project. I mean, this is gigantic. So what it says to me is that Georgia is here to stay as a major player in the world scene.
Thank you. George, you next.
Well, I'll try to be a very, very concise and a little bit selfish message to leave with the esteemed audience here. I would just say, be bold with investing in Georgia, and let Galton Taggart help you navigate the local and regional investment landscape.
Yes, some promotion doesn't hurt, does it? Abu Bakr?
I would like to emphasize the consistency and the cooperation. When the local institutions, regulators, and private sectors work in alignment, the sector become more predictable, and the predictability is bring the capital. So it's my last.
Predictability is a good thing.
Predictability is good.
Might be boring, but it's good for business, isn't it? And finally, Minister, what is your take as someone who wants to give you a one-line pitch to somebody in an elevator, perhaps? Why come to Georgia?
Okay, to put it this way, I would say by investing in Georgia, you are investing in stability, in safety, in predictability, and in the country which can generate, in average, higher returns of investment than you could get in any other country. And the reasons of it is all the above mentioned, but on top of it, the policy we create, free trade agreements we've achieved, and low tax burdens among the transparency.
Great. Good elevator pitch. Brilliant. Well, thank you to all of you. We've heard, obviously, you're all leaders shaping Georgia's investment narrative. You've got energy, finance, infrastructure, and of course the message is so clear that Georgia is not just open for investment, it is building for the future, as you say. So thank you once again to our wonderful panelists for your candor, your insights, and of course to our audience, for all of you being part of this conversation as well. Please give them a very big round of applause. Thank you all. Thank you once again. Perfect.
Dear forum participants, today's official program has now concluded. Please be reminded that B2B meetings will continue tomorrow, as indicated in the